Our first guest is from the Ledger, Roy Fuoco. Roy, off air, we were talking about how you had the opportunity to get a little vacation in, a little rest and relaxation because school starts next week, and I know all that goes out the window for you with the start of the fall sports.
Yeah, I mean, when I came back the first day I was back, I was up in Orlando at a prep media event at the Citrus Bowl, and the next day was a 7-on-7, and brutally hot Saturday morning.
Yeah, at Lake Myrtle Sports Park,
yeah,
right?
At Lake Myrtle, and so so you kind of get right back into it right away, and it does take about maybe a week or so to kind of get back into the groove and get out of the vacation. I was off a month, so it's hard to kind of get you get older, you kind of takes a little while to get more traction in your job when you get back.
Certainly understand that.
I want to go back to being off a month. That was off a month.
Well, I get 4 weeks vacation, and if I don't take them in the summer, it's hard to take them during the school year.
Yeah, you're not going to take it at any time.
How exactly do you do that all at once? I was off a week, and I feel like I had 6 weeks of work to do when I got back.
Well, I mean, the good thing is it is the summer, so there's not a lot going on. The high school stuff. I mean, there's plenty of stories to do. I mean, back when I had less time off, I'd try to work on a big project or something. Which now, if I want to do something like that, I got to do it when I'm covering everything else, so it makes it hard. But so you get 2 weeks to do stuff around the house, 2 weeks to go somewhere, and
there you go.
Well, we are getting started. First day of school is Monday, I believe, and the kickoff classics are next Friday, a week from today, as we're airing live here. It seems unreal. It seems unreal. What I enjoy about the high school football season in Florida is the fact that the rain will miss you for weeks at a time. But as soon as you have a home football game, it absolutely pours. So talk about that for you as a journalist, going to these high school football games that early in the season can be delayed by up to 2.5 hours and trying to hit deadlines. How does that work for you?
Well, I mean, when we had the newspaper deadlines the next day, it could be, you'd have a cut, you'd be back and forth calling the office and go, when's the latest? And then sometimes it'd be a point where it's like, okay, we're not going. Because it happened a couple times where the game wouldn't start till 9:30, and it reaches the point where they just run it Sunday and fill it out. Now, with the way the newspaper industry is, we don't write for the next day anyways.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter. Your game ends, whatever, you write it and post it online, and so it's actually not as big of a deal from that respect, except you're out there longer. And since I shoot my own games a lot, to get more art, from these games, and our photographer will go somewhere else. The rain is bad because it's my equipment. So if it's raining, it's like I'm up at the press box.
It's okay when it's the company's.
Yeah. I mean, not that you can take care of it the same, but definitely it's like, I take care. So. Yep, and dry. So I've done that a couple of times. Try to take one shot from the press box so you have at least one piece of art to go with the story.
Only old newspaper reporters will be able to share the fact that you could call your editor and tell them, hey, look, we're in a thunder and lightning delay, and then say, it's absolutely clear where I am. And they'd be like, are you telling the truth? Are you really in a thunder and lightning delay? Yeah.
It doesn't have to rain.
No.
Well, I'm sorry, go ahead.
So you've got the start of the football season. What teams are you looking at right now?
Right off the bat, Lakeland and Lake Wales. I mean, Lake Wales would have been, like I might have even suggested them for the top 25 in the state until they lost their quarterback. So they're going to probably go with a freshman starter who, from what I hear, is get some talent, but it's a freshman. But offensively, I mean, Lake Wales is loaded with talent. I mean, they got probably the best wide receiving core in the county. They got the running back, Kamari Smith from Haines City, along with their returning, and they have depth behind them, with some kids. So, I was talking to Tavares Johnson at that media event, and he's confident about the offensive line, too, which was sort of a concern because those sophomores that started when they won state graduated last year because they had a young line that year. But they have, I think, one or two returning. Their line. So I think offensively and defensively they might be okay. It's what are they going to get out of the quarterback? Is he going to, be able to lead? Doesn't have to win games. Just get the ball. And Cornelius Purdy is one of the top juniors in the state. Gabe Legrand, who was missed last year with an injury, is one of the top seniors, the wide receiver. They're just incredible athletes. So just find a way to get them the ball and don't turn the ball over.
Yeah.
Lakeland, Lakeland obviously is going to be good. They they got a new quarterback. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. Joaquin Cavalucas. He was at Tarpon Springs last year. He played Lakeland when he was at Clearwater International when he was a freshman. Threw for 200 yards. Lakeland won 35-34. The kid threw a touchdown and had 2 interceptions. So, but he was a freshman against that state championship team. So, so that's going to be the question with Lakeland this year: is can they get the offense back to where it was, 2 years ago? I mean, their passing game was just inconsistent last year. So, and they get young receivers.
And they start on the road. I mean, literally.
Well,
because they're all the way off to California.
Well, they go to Miami. They go to Vero Beach for a kickoff classic event next Saturday. They're going to play Miami Northwestern, and obviously that Miami Northwestern in the news with the Teddy Bridgewater, controversy. Then they play a good Auburndale team. Auburndale's going to be another team that they think they're going to compete with Lakeland and Orlando Jones for the district. They're going to have good representation in the Super 16, which we'll start releasing on Monday. Which is top senior prospects. So they got Auburndale. Lakeland's got Auburndale in the opener, and then they go to De La Salle, which is a perennial, national powerhouse and stuff. So they're gonna get tested early. Now Lakeland is 3-0 on the road in these type of games. They won in Ohio in 2006. They won in West Virginia in 08, and then they beat De La Salle at 09. So, and they're playing the same team. So I asked Marvin Frazier about going out there, and not going to do the same thing, but Bill Castle said, well, we did this. We were able to practice here, so they got an idea. But they're going to go out for the week, from what I understand. So they're going to see some sights out there and kind of make a learning, fun, and football. So hit the trifecta, hopefully.
Yeah, it sounds like certainly with Lakeland and Lake Wales, potential 2 state titles there if everything falls right. Last year was a little bit, of course, the All Sports Awards and Hall of Fame hosted each June at the RP Funding Center. Great partners with the Ledger to help put that on, and of course the countywide committee. But a little bit light on the team state championships last year at that event, and we're not used to that from Polk County. So whether it's football or other fall sports, as we look into the start of the high school season, do you see any particular team that looks like, other than Lakeland and Lake Wales, that might be able to win a championship?
Right now, no. I mean, there's a lot of new coaches in football. I would like to say, maybe a volleyball team. Dylan over at Winter Haven has done a great job building that program. But they lost the best player in the county the last couple of years, Riley Tanner. Graduated, so Winter Haven will be good. But even with her, they're still maybe that next level down in the indoor volleyball. So, in the 30 years or so I've been in Polk County, I think there's only been like 3 teams that got to state in volleyball. So, it's had good teams, but, teams that lost in the region finals. Auburndale did that a couple of years. Winter Haven did that back-to-back years back when Sonia Cook was coaching. Lake Gibson, the same thing. They would get to the region finals, but, just couldn't get over the hump. The last 2 teams that went were right around 2012, 2013, 2010, somewhere in that range. Lakeland went, and then George Jenkins went to the Final Four. So, we've had volleyball. Polk's had good volleyball teams, but not teams that you can, not like softball. You can say, hey, there's a great chance that they're going to go to state.
Well, the good thing about it is if they do get there, they have the home court advantage because the state championships are right here in Polk County, part of 9 championships. So let's hope.
It'd be great. It'd be great to see them. It's like
and Roy wouldn't have to travel very far.
Roy doesn't have to go anywhere. You just
And last year, I gave volleyball to Robert, our other guy who covers preps, to cover, and so he'd be the one to have to do. Although if we had local teams in there, I'd be over there too. But I guess maybe if they're not going to go to state, let someone else cover them.
We've got about a minute left here before we need to go to break. But in all your years of covering high school sports in Polk County, has it been pretty easy to find things to write about? Because the depth of talent in this county is unbelievable. You look at Pro Football Hall of Famers and Ken Riley and Ray Lewis, and you look at what just happened with Walter Clayton Jr. winning the NCAA championship, most outstanding player, Chris Sale last year winning the Cy Young. I don't want to say your job's easy. That's not what I'm saying, but there's no lack of story ideas, is there?
Yeah, no, I mean, because I remember when I graduated, I knew I'd started a small paper, and I started basically at the old Lake Wales Highlander. That was a 5-day-a-week paper that the news chief owned at the time. And so I knew I was going to start a small paper, but what I dreaded was you're going to be somewhere where they cut one high school that's lousy and nothing to cover and all that. Those first 4 years in Polk County, then it kind of merged into the news chief, when I became sports editor. But those first 4 years, I could have just covered Lake Wales.
Right.
It had and had the best stories in the county to cover. The first story, the first high school athlete in Polk County that I did a story on. It wasn't just him, but he was one of them. Was Chad Barnhart, who's in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
When he was a junior and Lake Wales was splitting the quarterback, one in the first half and Jonathan Rockness in the second half, and it reminded old timers of when Lake Wales did that in the early '60s with Lee Turnquist and Bill Marston. So. Someone told me that when I first got out there, and so that was like for the first or second story I did in Polk County, So right off the bat, I had history, one of the best quarterbacks I ever covered to cover. Rod Schaefer was obviously one of the better coaches in Polk County the last 30 years. So right off the bat, I couldn't ask for a better area to cover.
Yeah, well, Roy, we appreciate everything you've done over the years, and good luck with the dodging the weather coming up in the fall at the high school football games. But thank you so much. Of course, great partner, The Ledger. Check them out online or in print. But we'll have you back again soon to see how the teams are doing.
Yeah, hopefully there's a lot of good stuff to talk about.
Well, you need to make sure there is, because we're already taking a head count for the All Sports Awards in June.
Yeah.